Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. This is 15 minutes with the captains. I'm Captain Yadin, and to my right,
Also David.
all right? And today we're going to be talking about hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, all right? That's what this class is going to be about. Let's start off first with Judith chapter 8 and verse 24. One of my favorite scriptures, Judith 8 and verse 24. Because dealing with hypocrisy is a big thing. When you go through this Bible, you're going to find out that the Most High God has a serious issue with hypocrites. Read that, Judith 8:24.
Judith chapter 8 verse 24.
Go ahead.
Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren.
So the scripture says that we should show an example to our brethren, right? That means we should not just talk the talk, but we should actually walk the walk, right? So our brothers can see us. They see us keeping the Sabbath. They see us wearing fringes. They see us with a beard. They see our wives with dresses on, right? So guess what? We should show ourselves as examples. Keep reading.
Because their hearts depend upon us.
Because the hearts of the people depend upon us, upon you. You keep the commandments. You just never know who's watching you and looking up to you and wanting to be like you. Keep reading.
And the sanctuary, and the house, and the altar rest upon us.
So it rests upon us, right? So let's think about these people that's supposed to be keeping being an example, right? Go to Matthew chapter 23. We're going to start at verse 1. Let's see what the scriptures say about our leaders in Israel and the examples that we're supposed to be. Read that.
Matthew chapter 23 verse 1.
Go ahead.
Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
It says they sit in Moses' seat. The scribes and Pharisees, they sat in Moses' seat. They were considered the judges of the people, right? Matter of fact, hold that. Go to Exodus chapter 22 and verse 28. So the scribes and the Pharisees in that day, right, they sat in Moses' seat. They were the judges. Those are the people that we looked up to, right, that they followed, that they looked to for being a real example. All right, read that. Exodus 22 verse 28.
Exodus chapter 22 verse 28.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people.
And the scripture there where it's talking about revile the gods, that gods is talking about the judges, right? So it was laws set up and how we dealt with the judges of the people, right? It was given the utmost respect. Right. And when you give people the utmost respect, we can look at today like the athletes of the day, like LeBron James. LeBron James do or say something, what we do. Our people follow it, right? Lil Wayne and all them start wearing skinny jeans and things like that. They was blonde in their hair. All those different things, our people followed it because they see it. They want to be like them. They respect them. So we follow after that example. So the scribes and the Pharisees, they were supposed to be that example. Go back to Matthew chapter 23 and verse 1.
Matthew chapter 23 verse 1.
Go ahead.
Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
Go ahead.
All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do.
So he says, whatever the scribes and Pharisees say, look, do it. Observe what they say and then do those things. Read.
But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not.
And they say and they do not. Like we all done heard before as kids, do what I say and not as I do, right? If we were smart, well, we probably didn't want to say that to our parents. We'd probably lose a lip or something like that. But that was hypocrisy, right? The scribes and the Pharisees were hypocrites, right? They was teaching the law, but they didn't follow the law themselves. Keep reading.
For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
So they would tell people what they were supposed to do. Do this, don't do that. Right. You shouldn't do that. You need to do this, right? They were saying things for people to do, but then themselves, they were not doing it themselves. They were not being that example. They were being hypocrites, right? So I'm going to read the definition, the Merriam-Webster definition of hypocrites. It says, a person who puts on a fake appearance of virtue or religion. Also, a person who acts in contradiction to his stated beliefs or feelings, right? So a lot of times when we think about hypocrites. We come into the truth, we think about hypocrites. The first place we think about is the Christian church, right? We came from the Christian church. We're like, oh yeah, they don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this, that. They're hypocrites, right? But what we have to understand is that spirit of hypocrisy runs heavy among Israel also. It's a heavy spirit that runs amongst us also, to know we're not exempt from that hypocrisy, right? And we got to start living our lives better, right? Go to Matthew chapter 7, start at verse 1. It's one of those scriptures that the Christian church like to throw at us a lot, right? About, let's just read it.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Judge not, that ye be not judged.
There you go. They stop here. Judge not, that ye be not judged, right? But you got to get the proper understanding of what it's talking about, right? Keep reading to down to 5.
For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?
Go ahead.
Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye?
Go ahead.
Thou hypocrite.
Thou what?
Hypocrite.
Read.
First cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
So Matthew 7 is talking about hypocrisy, right? It's saying there's no way you can get on your brother about being late and you show up late. You can't get on your brother about being a liar and you're a liar, and vice versa, right? So it's saying fix yourself first, so you're not being a hypocrite. Then you will be able to fix the people around you, right? Go to Romans chapter 2, start at verse 1. So that's one example about not judging in hypocrisy. We can't be judges in hypocrisy. Read that. Romans 2 and verse 1.
Romans chapter 2, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever thou art that judgest. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself.
Read.
For thou that judgest does the same things.
It says you judge people for stuff, but you do the same thing. Keep reading.
But we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which commit such things. And thinkest thou this, O man, that judgest them which do such things, and doest the same, that thou shalt escape the judgment of God?
So it's letting you know you can't judge in hypocrisy, and you're not going to escape the judgment of God if you don't fix yourself and get yourself together. So just like what Matthew 7 was saying, fix yourself first before you try and judge your brother in the same sins that you're dealing with, right? So it's letting you know these two examples of us judging in hypocrisy. Let's give another type of hypocrisy that our people get into. Go to Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. Matthew 23, verse 23. Read that.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites!
Read.
For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
So they was paying their alms, good alms, right? But they would admit the weightier matters of the law. Which matters are they? Keep reading.
Judgment.
Judgment. Read.
Mercy.
So they wasn't judging right. They wouldn't have any mercy. Read.
And faith.
They didn't have any faith. Read.
These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone.
So it's like, look, we hear the scriptures all the time about how alms deliver from death and things like that. But guess what? You can't buy your way into the kingdom. You can't pay big alms and still be a willful sinner and think you're going to make it into the kingdom. Now, we may say he's just talking about the scribes and Pharisees. Go to Matthew chapter 6. Matthew 6 and verse 2. It says in other places also. All right?
Matthew chapter 6, verse 2.
Go ahead.
Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee.
When you pay alms, don't sound a trumpet. Be like, yeah, I just sent in my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my income taxes, so I gave a whole bunch of alms, Right. Hallelujah! Read that again.
Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee.
Read.
As the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men.
Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, they have their reward.
Read.
But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly.
So that's another thing. We can't pay alms in hypocrisy, right? We can't think we can just sin and that, because that's what Israel did before, right? They sacrificed in hypocrisy. They was like, look, I know I'm about to do this. Let me order in a couple more turtle doves. Look, all I got to do is kill that. All right, good. Give me 5 of them. I'm gonna take care of that, right? They wasn't really repenting, right? And that's the same thing that can happen to us if we remain in hypocrisy, right? So let's get some other examples. Let's go to Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2, and we're gonna go to verse 17. One of my favorite scriptures right here, verse 17. Read.
Romans chapter 2, verse 17.
Go ahead.
Behold, thou art called a Jew,
Read.
and rested in the law,
So the Jews, we rest in the law. Read.
and makest thy boast of God,
Go ahead.
and knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law,
Go ahead.
and are confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind.
We are God to the blind. I mean, we teach those that don't know who they are. They don't know they're supposed to keep the commandments, right? We teach them that. Read.
A light of them which are in darkness,
We're a light to them that's in darkness. Go ahead.
an instructor of the foolish,
Go ahead.
a teacher of babes,
That's what we do. We teach. We instruct the foolish. Go ahead.
which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law.
All right. Now this is the cut right here. Read.
Thou therefore which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself?
Those that teach another, you don't teach yourself, right? Read.
Thou that preachest a man should not steal, dost thou steal?
If you teach that a man don't steal, guess what? But you steal is a problem. The Most High God has a problem with that. Go ahead.
Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, dost thou commit adultery?
Go ahead.
Thou that abhorrest idols, dost thou commit sacrilege?
So what the Most High God talking about? He's like, look, you a teacher, but you teach in hypocrisy. You need to teach yourself first, because you're doing the things that you're supposed to be teaching the people not to do. You're supposed to be that light, right? To the blind, to them in darkness. But guess what? You in hypocrisy. It's not going to work, right? Matter of fact, go to Sirach chapter 37. Read verse 19. Sirach chapter 37 and verse 19. So what we seeing here is the Most High God has a problem with hypocrisy. Read that.
Sirach chapter 37, verse 19.
Go ahead.
There is one that is wise,
There's one that is wise, know all the scriptures, the precepts, and everything. Read.
and teacheth many,
Go ahead.
and yet is unprofitable to himself.
He unprofitable to himself because he know all the deep precepts. But then what? He just committed adultery on his wife. Right? Basic things that you don't do. Right? You got to make sure that you're not being a hypocrite, right? Because people would look, especially someone who knows a lot of scriptures, you got a deep understanding of the Bible. People are going to look to you and say, yeah, this brother right here, he got it going on. He's doing this. Yeah. He know all the precepts. Then next thing you know, what? You get caught up in adultery, fornication, right? Theft, things like that. And it's like, then now you just offended the little ones, right? The ones that look to you as an example. All right, let's see. What else we got? We went to teaching in hypocrisy, giving in hypocrisy, judging in hypocrisy. Let's go about learning in hypocrisy, right? Go to Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 31. Ezekiel 33 and verse 31. Let's read this scripture. Because a lot of times, in a lot of the schools or whatnot, a lot of y'all watch the Israelite videos, YouTube, IUIC TV, and all these things, right? But then you don't see a change. This is why. Read that.
Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 31.
Go ahead.
And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them.
They hear the words, they come, they like the classes, they own the YouTube channel, they comment and everything, they hear the words, but they won't do them. Read.
For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness.
Go ahead.
And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song.
Because it sounds good. It's like, oh, praise this right here. I love the way the precepts come together. Oh, that class on Revelation 4 was great, right? It's like a lovely song. Read.
Of one that hath a pleasant voice, and can play well on an instrument. For they hear thy words, but they do them not.
They hear the words and they do them not. Give me one more, Matthew 15 and 8. Matthew 15 and 8. So the people come, they listen to the scriptures, they hear it, they know they're not supposed to do this, they know they're supposed to do that, but they just don't do it. But they come over and over and over again. Give me that. Matthew 15 verse 8.
Matthew chapter 15 verse 8.
Go ahead.
This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips.
That's what happened to a lot of people in the truth, right? You come into the truth. This is the reason why a lot of you have issues with your family members, right? You say, oh, my friends threw me away. Nobody talked to me no more, because you came into the truth. You was still smoking weed, and then you was going and telling everybody about repentance and being an Israelite, right? You wasn't taking care of your kids. You talking about, I'm an Israelite. We did this. We the gods of the earth, this and that, right? Sisters talking about, oh, we got to do this. We got to do that, this and that, right? But you had 3 or 4 boyfriends at the time, right? Because you hypocrites. People see that. The hypocrites is like, who's this trying to tell me I'm supposed to do this and I can't do that? I can't eat pork no more. And we just smoked a blunt together, right? The hypocrisy is what happens when you first get yourself right, right? And then people will be able to see that example, right? And then you can somewhat fix your friends and family, right? But then when you learn in hypocrisy, just 2 and 2 ain't going to equal 4, all right? Last scripture. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21. So what's going to be the fate of the hypocrite? All right? Matthew 7 verse 21. Read.
Matthew chapter 7 verse 21.
Go ahead.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Go ahead.
But he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven.
And the will of the Father is keeping the laws. Read.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name?
Go ahead.
And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
So if you're a hypocrite, you can come to church as many times as you want. You can pay as many alms as you want. You can teach the people as long as you want. But guess what? If you are not keeping the commandments of God, you're going to be rejected when that time of judgment comes. So the Most High God got a problem with hypocrites. The Bible got a problem with hypocrites, right? So if you're a hypocrite, fix that. If not, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. All right? So that's it for my 15 minutes with the captains over hypocrisy. Again, I'm Captain Yadin, and to my right,
Officer David.
all right, shalom, Most High, Christ bless.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.